gardens are noted for two kinds of cricket: boy cricket, which is real cricket with a bat, and girl cricket, which is with a racket and a governess. Girls can't play real cricket, and when you are watching their futile efforts, you make funny sounds at them. Nevertheless, there are very disagreeable incident one day when some forward girls challenged David's team, and a disturbing creature called Angela Clare sat down so many Yorkers that, however, instead of telling you the result of that regrettable match, I shall pass on hurriedly to the round pond, which is the wheel that keeps all the gardens going. The Serpentine is a lovely lake, and there is a drowned forest at the bottom of it. If you peer over the edge, you can see the trees, all growing upside down, and they say that at night there are also drowned stars in it. It is round, because there is in the very middle of the gardens, and when you come to it, and you never want to go any farther. You can't be good all the time at the round pond, however much you try. You can be good in the broad walk all the time, but not at the round pond. And the reason is that you forget. And when you remember, you are also so wet that you may as well be wetter. There are men who sail boats on the round pond, such big boats that they can bring them in barrows, and sometimes in perambulators, and then the baby has to walk. The bow-legged children in the gardens are those who had to walk too soon because their fathers needed the perambulator. You always want to have a yacht to sail on the round pond, and in the end your uncle gives you one, and to carry it to the pond the first day is splendid. Also to talk to boys about it who have no uncle is splendid, but soon you like to leave it at home. For the sweetest craft that slips her mooring in the round pond is what is called a stick boat, because she is rather like a stick until she is in the water, and you are holding the string, and then you walk around pulling her. You see little men running about her deck, and sails rise magically and catch the breeze, and you put it on dirty nights in snug harbors, which are unknown to the lordly yachts. Night passes in a twink, and again your rakish craft noses for the wind, whales spout, you glide over buried cities, and have brushes with pirates, and cast anchor on coral isles. You are a solitary boy while all this is taking place, for no two boys together cannot adventure far upon the round pond, and though you may talk to yourself throughout the voyage, giving orders and executing them with dispatch, you know not when it is time to go home, where you have been, or what swelled your sails, your treasure troves all locked away in your hold, so to speak, which will be opened, perhaps, by another little boy, many years afterwards. But those yachts have nothing in their hold. Has anyone returned to this haunt of his youth because of the yachts that he used to sail in? Oh no. It is the stick boat that is freighted with memories. The yachts are toys. Their owner a freshwater mariner. They can cross and recross a pond only while the stick boat goes to sea. You yachtsmen with your wands, who think we are all there to gaze on you. Your ships are only accidents of this place, and they all are to be boarded and sunk by the ducks. The real business of the round pond would be carried on as usual. Paths from everywhere crowd like children to the pond. Some of them are ordinary paths, which have a rail on each side and are made by men with their coats off. But others are vagrants, wide at one spot, and at another so narrow that you can stand astride them. They are called paths that have made themselves, and David did wish he could see them doing it. But, like all the most wonderful things that happen in the gardens, it is done, we concluded, at night after the gates are closed. We have also decided that the paths make themselves because it is their only chance of getting to the round pond. One of these gypsy paths comes from the place where the sheep get their hair cut. When David shed his curls at the hairdresser's, I am told, he said goodbye to them without a tremor, though his mother has never been quite the same bright creature since. So he despises the sheep as they run from their shearer, and calls out tauntingly, "Cowardly, cowardly custard!" But when the man grips them between his legs, David shakes a fist at him for using such big scissors. Another startling moment is when the man turns back the grimy wool from the sheep's shoulders, and they look suddenly like ladies in the stalls of a theater. The sheep are so frightened by the shearing that it makes them quite white and thin, and as soon as they are set free, they begin to nibble the grass. At once, quite anxiously, as if they feared they would never be worth eating. David wonders whether they know each other, now that they are so different, and it makes them fight with the wrong ones. They are great fighters, and thus so unlike country sheep that every year they give my St. Bernard dog, Porthos, a shock. He can make a field of country sheep fly by merely announcing his approach, but these town sheep can come toward him with no promise of gentle entertainment. And then a light from years past breaks upon Porthos. He cannot with dignity retreat, but he stops and looks about him as if lost in admiration of the scenery, and presently he strolls away with a fine indifference, and a glint at me from the corner of his eye. And the Serpentine begins here. It is a lovely lake, and there is a drowned forest at the bottom of it. If you peer over the edge, you can see all the trees growing upside down, and they say that at night there are also drowned stars in it. If so, Peter Pan sees them when he is sailing across the lake in the thrush's nest. A small party only of the Serpentine is in the gardens, for soon it passes beneath the bridge, too far away where the island is on, which all the birds aboard that become baby boys and girls. No one human, except Peter Pan, and he is only half human, can land on the island. But you may write what you want, boy or girl, targ or fair, on a piece of paper, and then twist it to the shape of a boat and slip it into the water, and it reaches Peter Pan's island of it, one of the many paths that have made themselves. We are on the way home now, though, of course, it is all pretense that we can go to so many of the places in one day. I should have had to be carrying David long ago, and resting on every seat like old Mr. Salford. That was what we called him, because he always talked to us of a lovely place called Salford when he had been born. He was a crab-apple of an old gentleman who wandered all day in the gardens from seat to seat, trying to fall in with somebody who was acquainted with the town of Salford. And when he had known him for a year or more, we actually did meet another aged solitary who had once spent Saturday to Monday in Salford. He was meek and timid, and carried his address inside his hat. And whatever part of London he was in search of, he always went to Westminster Abbey first as a starting point. Him. We carried in triumph to our other friend, with the story of that Saturday to Monday. And never shall I forget the gloating joy with which Mr. Salford leapt at him. They have been cronies ever since, and I noticed that Mr. Salford, who naturally does most of the talking, keeps tight grip of the older man's coat. Away he flew, right over the houses to the gardens. The last two places before you come to our gate are the dog cemetery and the chaffinch's nest. But we pretend not to know what the dog cemetery is, as Porthos is always with us. The nest is very sad. It is quite white, and the way we found it was wonderful. We were having another look at among the bushes for David's lost worsted ball, and instead of the ball, we found a lovely nest made of the worsted, and containing 4 eggs, with scratches on them, very like David's handwriting. So we think they must have been the mother's love letters to the little ones inside. Every day we were in the gardens, we paid a call at the nest, taking care that no cruel boy should see us. And we dropped crumbs, and as soon as the bird knew us, and sat in the nest looking at us kindly with her shoulders hunched up. But one day, when we went there were only 2 eggs in the nest, and the next time we went there were none. The saddest part of it was that the poor little chaffinch fluttered about the bushes, looking so reproachfully at us that we knew she thought that we had done it. And though David tried to explain to her, it was so long since he had spoken the bird language that I fear she did not understand. He and I left the gardens that day with our knuckles in our eyes.
Win, win, win.